Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there is one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
So you're walking down the street, you're minding your own business when someone glances at you through a pair of pretty cool sunglasses. Nothing unusual, right? Except within seconds, they know your name, where you work, and the last restaurant you dined at just from that one look.
That's what 2 university students managed to pull off with Meta's new smart glasses. And it's not some sci-fi fantasy. It's happening. Now.
And it's not just your glasses. It could be your fridge, your baby monitor, or even your toaster, all connecting to the internet and creating serious security risks.
We're about to dive into the unsettling world of IoT, Internet of Things, and trust us, it's not just about your smart devices making your life easier. It's about how they could be making your life a lot more vulnerable. Welcome to What the Hack, the true cybercrime podcast. I'm Adam Levin.
I'm Beau Friedlander.
And I'm Travis Taylor.
I have something that I want to show you today.
Hold this.
Yeah, thanks for keeping them secure.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. There you go. This is Orion, our first fully functioning prototype. And if I do say so, the most advanced glasses the world has ever seen. Now, about a decade ago,
Those Meta smart glasses are just one way internet-connected devices are a risk to our security and safety. But before we look into that threat, let's take another look at Internet of Things devices. Travis, what is the term Internet of Things? What does it mean to you?
It's pretty simple, really. It just refers to everyday devices that are connected to the internet. Like we said before, it can be your fridge or your toaster or baby monitor. So almost everything these days, from glasses to toasters, are smart. And that means they're connected to the internet all the time and sometimes accessible.
So they're supposed to make our lives easier by connecting each other to, and maybe automating tasks or whatever. Your thermostat adjusts the temperature based on what you leave and come home. When you do that, your fridge might be able to tell you when you're out of milk. Your fitness tracker, I didn't want to get into it. Yes, I can see how that might help you, and no, not interested.
But here's where things start to get complicated. The more devices you have connected to the internet, the more entry points hackers have into your life, the larger your attackable surface.
Yeah, think of it like this. Every smart device in your home is a new door. Some of those doors are locked with complicated secure passwords. Others, they're wide open.
When I think of IoT vulnerabilities, I think of one person, Jen Caltrider from Mozilla.
Mozilla, most people know us for Firefox, but we're actually a nonprofit. We're not like the big tech giants like Google and all that are out there trying to make a bunch of money. We're a nonprofit organization. Basically, our mission is to make the internet better for everybody all around the world.
Jen, you started Mozilla's Privacy Not Included project, which reviews IoT devices. Why should we be concerned about these devices collecting our personal information?
I grew up, and I think most of us on this call grew up at a time when we had some privacy. You know, we had the ability to disappear from view and learn some lessons out of the public view and take away from them. but also create ourselves, our own lives in a way that wasn't influenced by anybody else but our own mistakes and what we learned from them. And I really fear for people growing up in the world today where they don't have that amount of privacy, whether it's parents tracking kids everywhere all the time by strapping a smartwatch on them at the age of 4 or 5, to companies learning everything they can about us from the moment that we get online and using that to try and guide our behaviors, so that if I'm 20 and I decide I really tried to like sports because my dad likes sports, but I just can't do it and I want to get away from it, I feel guilty, but these ads follow me everywhere. But then you scale it up and you see what can happen when governments or bad actors can get a hold of our behavioral data, where these algorithms can start to know a lot more about us than we even perhaps know about them ourselves.
Exactly. It's one thing when companies have access to our personal data and use it to tailor ads or recommend products. That can be invasive. But then what happens when there's a data leak or a hack? Suddenly, it's not just about a company knowing your preferences, it's about some criminal knowing it. Your whole digital footprint becomes exposed.
I know that a lot of your research has been around connected toys for kids. What type of data is being collected there?
It's a great question. The FTC fined Amazon this year millions of dollars for not actually following through on their promise to delete voice recordings that they'd collected on kids. In the US, we have a law that, and you read privacy policies and it says, oh, we don't knowingly collect any data on children under the age of 13. In Europe, I think it's 16. But children over the age of 13 aren't exactly ready to have all their data collected on them either, I don't think. There's just a lot of data that you have to assume is being collected, but my best advice is don't trust the companies with your kids' data. Keep them as far away from that as you can. I recognize that's impossible, though.
That's such an important point. We're talking about a generation that's growing up without ever knowing real privacy, and that leaves them especially vulnerable. And when that personal data isn't just in the hands of companies, but also potentially being leaked or hacked, well, the consequences, they can be devastating.
Well, and if you think about what could be exposed, it's not the simple stuff that you might be thinking about. It's personal. It's really personal stuff. The idea of our kids being tracked or recorded without our knowledge is beyond upsetting, right? It goes beyond apps and devices designed for convenience. Sometimes the most innocent seeming tech, like a baby monitor, which we come back to again and again because they have been hacked and there's scary stories about it, they can become entry points for hackers.
That baby monitor stuff, that's terrifying because they really have been used against consumers.
Yeah, and these baby monitors, they aren't just simple intercoms. They're typically camera connected or connected to a network of cameras all throughout your house.
Yeah, all right. Listen to this. This is from a situation that happened in South Carolina. It involved a mom, Jamie Summit, who noticed, just listen.
Never in a million years would I have expected something like this to happen.
First-time mom Jamie Summit says last week she thought she noticed something strange about the baby monitor she was given by a friend.
We were eating and noticed that the monitor started moving and panned over to our bed and paused for a few seconds and then panned back over to our son, who was sleeping in his bassinet right next to our bed.
She says she disconnected the device right away, tried to cancel the app on her phone, and called the local police, but never filed a report.
We shut our bedroom door. We kind of sat for a second and just, I was crying. I was really upset, kind of realizing what was happening.
Security experts say most hackers aren't interested in the camera. They're using it as a launching point to get into a network and steal the user's ID. That's why Summit's not the only parent pressing pause on her crib cam.
And that's just one story that was reported. What about the stories that go untold and events that go unnoticed? Once hackers get access to these devices, they can use them as entry points into your home network.
Well, listen, this is the whole point. Is the reason you want to really think twice about using these devices, and if you are using them, secure them. Somebody can take control of cameras that are in your house, your thermostat, your whatever. They could learn when you're home, when you're asleep, when you're on vacation. We know of stories of people remotely controlling houses for various reasons, unlocking doors when you're away. It's not just creepy, it's dangerous.
Yeah, and this is way beyond personal safety. Someone hacking these devices, they can get access to your entire digital life.
And that's not even the scariest part. It's often really not that hard for them to do it. Most people don't change default passwords on their IoT devices, or they use something really basic like password or the name of their pet. And if you combine that with devices that aren't updated regularly or just have weak security protocols, it's like leaving a key under your welcome mat.
And think of it this way, because they only need to get access to one device. And once they do, hackers can use that weak link, say, to your smart fridge where you're like, who cares? Sorry. They can go from there to access your whole network. And once they're in, they can jump from device to device, and before you know it, they have access to the things that you wouldn't think they might, like your phone, your computer. So you got to really be careful.
And we know that many of these devices, especially the older and cheaper ones, they don't even have proper encryption. That means your data, whether it's a live camera feed or stored info, could be sent out over the internet in a way that bad guys can easily intercept. It's like sending a postcard instead of a sealed letter.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if someone gets access to your baby monitor or to a connected toy, they might start with just monitoring, but what else can they do when they have that access?
I like the postcard thing, because that is exactly what it is. You might as well write it on the side of your car. So what about, smart doorbells with cameras? I mean, they make for good memes of like nice Amazon delivery people being cute with dogs, but a hacker could easily figure out when you're not home or you're going for a run or something. It's really a problem in that level too, which means, yes, it could get you robbed, old-fashioned style.
It's all these little pieces of data adding up. And suddenly, these guys know more about your routines than even you do.
Okay, so fair enough. We're painting a pretty scary picture here. It's spooky season, but it's technically possible for someone to hack into every aspect of your digital life. It can snowball. It can become the Hollywood version of the cyber attacks you need to worry about.
Definitely. I mean, even if you're not directly oversharing with these devices, it's surprisingly easy to reverse engineer that information. Take security questions. How many times have you been asked about your high school mascot, your first pet, or the street you grew up on? That's all data that your fitness tracker or even camera metadata might be revealing without you even realizing it.
Okay, now, to you, a fitness app, they might not seem like a big deal at first. But if it's tracking where you go for your morning run or where you take your dog to the park, that location data is enough for someone to figure out where you live. And once they have that, it's not hard to start piecing together the rest of the information they need to say, reset your bank account, your password, or any other account that's important to you.
There's a guy on Instagram who has a giant following who just does it for fun. It's not that hard.
It's actually really easy to do. So I'm just going to walk you guys through the process on exactly how I found this about a year ago, because it could be interesting, it's educational, and I think it'll be fun. So the first thing that was obvious was we have to find the original poster of the video, which I ended up finding was...
Yeah, and if a hacker does get a hold of your smart home camera, they can just pull metadata from the images or video footage. That includes things like timestamps, locations, Wi-Fi networks, and just with that information on hand, they could potentially gain access to your whole home network. And from there, it's open season on the rest of your devices.
So, Jen, given everything we've talked about, it's pretty clear that even these seemingly small pieces of data can create big risks. Now, of all the categories you've reviewed, what's the worst when it comes to privacy violations?
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. I'm on the spot here, so let me try and recall. Cars.
What? Really? Cars?
We reviewed 25 car brands: Ford, BMW, Nissan, Kia, Volkswagen, across the board. Every single car brand that we reviewed earned our privacy not included warning label. And that was a first. Now, no product category we've ever reviewed has earned every single one is awful. And our goal is to help people to make smart decisions. And so when you review a category of products, especially cars, it's not like, oh, I bought a bad product and it's terrible, I'm going to discard it and get a better one. It's cars.
I know your reporting on this made headlines a while back, and one thing that really stood out to me was that Kia, among other car manufacturers, is tracking some pretty private things. Apparently, they can monitor the sexual activity of people using their cars. I've got a lot of questions about that, but the two biggest are, how are they tracking that? And Why? I mean, what possible benefit is there knowing who's getting jiggy in a Sorrento?
It's a really good question. And I get asked this question about the sexual activity tracking a lot because it makes your eyes bulge out of your head. And it wasn't just Kia. Nissan also mentioned that they can track your sexual activity. They don't say how. They say what they do is they have a privacy policy that you must consent to in order to use their product. In this case, a car, as well as the app and the connected services. And in that privacy policy, you must consent to a privacy policy that says they could collect information on your sex life or your sexual activity. And in Nissan's case, use that potentially for direct advertising activities. And so they don't tell you how they're collecting it. They don't tell you why they're collecting it other than some general, potentially direct marketing activities. Or they don't even actually say that we don't even know 100% that they are. I mean, the car companies themselves will say, oh, we're not actually tracking that, which is fine for them to say. But at the end of the day, they require you to consent to a privacy policy where it says that they can. As to the why they need this, any behavioral data point that a company builds on you and builds a profile gives them the ability to target you more closely with ads. And so almost all of these privacy policies also say that they can collect all this data on you, including things like your sexual activity, and use it to create inferences. And it sounds kind of innocuous, but think about that. They say they can create inferences about things like your intelligence, your predispositions, your abilities. And then if you really break that down and you think, oh, great, Subaru knows that I really am not that smart and I have a predisposition to eat pizza every Friday night and 18 other things about me. And then they can really target you in ways that's scary. And it's not just, it's the car company that can target you. This data gets bundled up and attached to you and then shared around or sold around to places where other people can target you. And that's where it starts to get really worrisome.
If there's one thing you wanted people to be more aware of when it comes to their privacy in these Internet of Things devices, what is it?
That it matters. And I know everybody says when people pull them, everybody says that their privacy matters. I also know that then people are like, but I don't know what I can do about it. And so, yes, your privacy matters. And here's the one thing you can do about it. You can demand either at your state level or at the federal level, strong privacy regulations. Again, the U.S. doesn't have a federal privacy law. The EU has GDPR, which protects them to a degree. We don't have that. And we don't want the tech companies and the car companies to write that federal privacy law either. I would say that get informed because your privacy matters. The more we give it up, the less happy we're going to be. So the one thing that people should know about their privacy is that it matters enough to pick up the phone and make a phone call, to demand better and not expect. It's not fair for the companies to expect you to spend 8 hours a day knowing what settings need to be adjusted, or they just updated their privacy policy and opted you into things. It's not fair for you as a consumer to have that burden put on you. The burden needs to be on the companies and the burden needs to be on the regulators.
If IoT devices are collecting all this data, what can we do?
Well, from a security point of view, you should change the default passwords and regularly apply updates. And most of all, just be mindful of what information you're sharing. Don't wait for a breach or a hack. Just do it now.
Well, I mean, what are these companies actually doing? Why are they doing this?
As we've heard, companies can get really, really creepily granular with your data. They can profile you, and hackers can exploit that for bigger attacks.
Right.
And we're not just talking about money. I mean, we're talking about privacy, safety, even your freedom.
All right. Guys, just it. It's time to disconnect. I mean, this is like, if you're listening to this and you're not like completely nauseated and thinking like you'd like to hang out on a desert island with a volleyball, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you.
And after the break, if you're still thinking about staying connected, this should scare the shit out of you.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks, or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. visit usaa.com/bundle.
Bundle savings are off total premium, not available in all states or in all situations. To qualify, auto policy must be active prior to property policy issue, subject to change. Restrictions apply. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
If you thought hackers breaking into your baby monitor was scary, we're about to take it one step further. Imagine not just random hackers on the internet, but somebody way closer. Somebody who you should be trusting. This is a story of hope. A woman whose life was turned upside down by her partner.
It's banking, it's children, it's devices, it's security systems, it's, home automation, it's everything. And then beyond that, you think about all these little individual bits of information, but then I think the big thing for me that kept me vulnerable was I trusted the person I was with.
Hope met Bob, years ago. They clicked immediately, and the relationship moved pretty quickly. Looking back now, she sees all the red flags, but at the time, it seemed great.
I met Bob decades ago. Bob and I met in a very unconventional way for today's times. We met in a bar, like I think the majority of people used to do. But it was, I was actually attracted to Bob initially because he was very unlike the majority of the other potential partners or suitors I saw around me, and that was refreshing. I like to have in-depth and thoughtful discussions with people and challenge the status quo. And so I was looking for a mentally stimulating partner that would keep me on my toes. And man, I'm a match.
Hope had a family. She had a career. Bob took care of the tech. Smart home systems, phones, computers. It seemed like the perfect balance. That is until things got less perfect.
I'm wondering how you became aware of some of the means that Bob was using to keep tabs on you.
How did you know he was spying on you? Was it just that he would say, I saw you at the diner with Daryl Hall, and how dare you date an aging rocker?
Well, let's put it this way. When he uncovered the infidelity, the method in which he did it was very invasive. He sought to use old devices for communication and just in general, and essentially use system logs.
Spyware?
No, not even. And that's just it. I think that people believe that with digital infringement, that you have to use some special tools, and you really don't have to. You have to have an understanding of how the stuff works. And if you understand the basis of how it sets up and when you send messages, how the files are stored, where they're kept, how to retrieve them, and you have a minimal understanding of how to extract them, export them, move them around, you can really do a lot.
What's going on with the devices in your house? So do you get a new phone for yourself all the time, or are phones getting recycled and shuffled around? Is your phone his phone? Kids using phones that belong to other people? Just wondering what that hygiene looks like in your household.
It was all of the above.
Okay, so you could be using a phone. That used to belong to him. Apparently, both Bob and Hope were unfaithful. And at first, I guess Hope dismissed it, but and thought Bob was just being paranoid. Maybe he had guessed, or he'd ask Hope about places she'd been, things she hadn't told him about, and she'd be like, how does he know about that? But as time went on, it became clear that Bob wasn't guessing. He was watching her closely, and he was using the tech that he controlled to do it.
I said, I'm done, and he didn't accept it. And so I would find, and this is like a pretty typical thing for someone who's in a relationship, and I hate to use this word, but a narcissist, and that they're like, I don't accept that you're leaving me. If anybody's doing the leaving, I'm doing the leaving. And so I would get that a lot. And I just was like, no, I'm done. And he didn't accept it. And so he would kind of hoover me back in and like, the love and the kisses and the gifts and the whatever. And I was like, all right, we've got a family and we've got all these things together and it's going to be really complicated. And like, as everyone says, cheaper to keep her, right? So I'm like, I'll just figure it out. And then I did that until I couldn't. And I was just like, I'm done. I am not willing to accept this anymore. I'm not being a good role model for the little people. And it's just time. And I don't really care what you think. And that was when all hell broke loose. I was at home alone one day and Bob sent me a text message and indicated that, it was my mistake to leave him and that he felt sorry for me and, basically kind of like, I don't need you, this is your problem and whatever. And I basically responded saying, okay, a little bit of this is what occurred between us. And this is just so wonderful. This is stupid me for wanting to leave this behind. And he unleashed on me and just started, just texting obscenities to me. And being home alone, we just had something like a security event in our house. And I was a little bit on edge to begin with. And after, basically cursing me out, shut down all of our lights, shut up the automation in our house and, including blocking my devices from our Wi-Fi network. And, was kind enough to leave me the corded phone, which is still digital. So it was a selection of what was going to be granted to me. And I called the police because it was really jarring. And I'm saying, don't touch anything. I'm home alone. Everyone would be like, I'm scared. This is really creepy. But this cop shows up to understand what's going on. I'm like, yeah, shut up the lights. And I don't really like it. And I'm concerned. And they're required to say, are there children? Or he sees pictures of the little people on the walls. And he's going, they shouldn't see this. And it was in that instance that this was a third person telling me, maybe it's time to get a protective order. Maybe it's time to put some physical space between the two of you. That I finally said, you know what, it's time. Because in context of having children in the home, that they do not need to see this. They do not need to take part in this. They do not need to be affected directly by this. And I just thought it's time. It's really time. But for doing that, for making that choice, all hell broke loose. I go to download an app and it's sending the approval to his phone. The emails were being sent to him. Notifications I was receiving changed from mine to his.
Hope soon discovered that Bob had set himself up as the admin of everything. Every device, every shared account. He had access to all of it. But that wasn't even the worst part.
I actually found I was being surveilled to the point where there's a camera in my home in a place that I would have a reasonable expectation of privacy, and images of me that I would rather have not been seen because I didn't think that I would display them in public were recorded and distributed against my wishes and without my consent.
A camera. Hidden in her own home, Bob had crossed a line that she didn't even know existed.
Hope's home had been turned against her. Bob was using the very tools he set up to track her every move, and not just online, but physically within the house.
And so in that instance, I had to learn really, really fast how to protect myself if I wanted to make that break and really extract this person from my life.
It didn't stop with the camera. Hope noticed more and more signs of Bob's surveillance. Her emails were forwarded to him without her knowledge. He accessed her personal and business accounts, not by hacking into them, but because he always had access.
She tried to set up boundaries. She separated their devices, changed passwords. Nothing seemed to work. Seemed like no matter what she did, Bob always found a way in. She just couldn't escape his reach.
What a scumbag.
Indeed. It was around that point that Hope realized that this wasn't just him keeping tabs on her. This was about controlling her. Bob was using their smart home technology to isolate and to terrify her.
She filed for a protective order, but Bob's surveillance didn't stop. Even after Hope moved out, even after she thought she'd escaped, the spying continued.
And I ended up having to, at one point, because I replaced all my devices, I now had to abandon all of my prior apps and shared things with this person. I had to replace them all and start from scratch, but then realize that the integrations were giving me away. So I'd have to go back to my roadmap and go, okay, well, I did this, 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 and this. Like weird things are still happening still. Oh, wait. Like, how are these connected? Oh, yeah. This is connected through this other app here. I gave permission on this thing. So if I'm going to change this password here, I need to change it simultaneously with these 4 other ones to make sure that it's done all in succession so there's no backdoor in.
Well, but this is where you could bring in a professional. They're not cheap.
No.
But you bring in a professional organization and they literally do a sweep of your home.
No, I tried it all. It didn't work. And I mean, it got to the point where even my scale betrayed me. And that's a very low-tech tool. But I had a friend, like a friend of a friend introduced me, and this was someone who'd experienced the same thing and had, been married to a spouse. They'd had actually a software company together, and she basically set me up and put Malwarebytes on my devices for me to help me kind of, weed out some of the back doors. And it was very, very challenging to keep going in day out and function with all this stuff going on and not really know where it was all coming from. But, the high level people, they didn't really want to get involved. And so I ended up doing a lot of my own, like Google University type stuff to learn as much as I could, because it didn't really exist in one collated central repository. I think that because a lot of this stuff is going to be a developer end stuff, it's not going to be for someone that's an end user like me. It's not going to show up in the context of this, and they kind of leave the lowest common denominator.
Turns out, Bob wasn't using some high-tech hacking method. He wasn't installing malware. He didn't need to. He built the system. Every account, every device was linked to him from the start. And as long as their kids shared devices between their homes, he still had access.
Now, I mean, listen, sometimes that's not a big deal, like on the Netflix account or something, but for nearly a decade, Hope had been fighting to regain control of her own digital life. And even now, quite a bit later, she's not entirely sure if she's free. Hope's story is a reminder of how technology, something designed to make our lives easier, can be used as a weapon in the wrong hands. And that really has a lot to do with the way that we set it up. That's the end of it. That's why we've been talking about passwords so much. That's why we're talking about, if someone has full control over your digital life, you got to think about what that means and have a conversation about it with your partner, because it's not just hackers in a dark room. Sometimes it's just, a trusting relationship that goes south and now you're in a f***ed up situation.
Hope's story might sound like an extreme case.
I don't think so, actually. I think it's pretty common.
Well, it's certainly a vivid example of how much connected devices can make our lives vulnerable.
Huh.
What started as trust between a couple evolved into surveillance and control, all through the very devices meant to make our lives more convenient. Whether it's a Wi-Fi router, security camera, or a family shared network of phones, once somebody gets in, they hold the keys to your life.
Yeah. And it's not just about having a jealous ex or a suspicious spouse. As Jen pointed out earlier, every single smart device in your home is an open door for just about anyone. And that includes hackers, data brokers, and even companies, just to exploit. You might think it's just your home or personal space, but with IoT devices, they give outsiders a view into your daily life, your movements, and even your intimate moments, just like Hope experienced.
And the more connected that our devices become, the more vulnerable we are. What happened to Hope shows that IoT isn't just a convenience. In the wrong hands, it's a weapon. But what happens when the technology itself seems to be designed to access your life at the blink of an eye? After the break, we'll dive into Meta's new smart glasses. Technology that brings convenience, but at what cost? That's after the break.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso Virtuo coffee machines. Ready to enjoy the bold flavors of barista-quality Nespresso iced coffee at home? Simply fill a glass with ice and press the brew button on your Virtuo pop machine to enjoy rich double espressos roasted to stand up even when chilled. Refreshingly bold iced coffee. Refreshingly easy to make at home. Visit Nespresso.com to shop now.
Hey, this is Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast, here to help you make the most of your summer with Michelob Ultra, a superior light beer worth playing for. Play for it with the guys when you're competing to see who can sink more birdies on the golf course, because winning tastes even better with Ultra on the line. Play for Ultra. Fill your fridge with Michelob Ultra this summer. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2025 Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Before the break, we were looking at traditional IoT devices. Lights, baby monitor, even your phone. These are entry points for hackers and bad actors. But there's another worry about connecting every device to the internet.
So Meta, Facebook's parent company, released a new version of their smart glasses.
I have something that I want to show you today.
They look like regular sunglasses, but they're equipped with cameras, microphones, internet connectivity, and just buckets of creepiness.
The idea is that you can take pictures, videos, or even record audio all through your glasses.
So they're being sold as sort of a versatile wearable camera that can sync with your phone, sort of like a smartwatch. But with these, you get hands-free photo and video and social media displayed to the screen in your glasses. And if that doesn't sound weird, things get even darker.
Wait, that's pretty dark.
You might be thinking, great, I can capture my day without pulling out my phone.
Oy.
But here's the issue. Once again, we're introducing more connectivity into our lives. And as we've seen, the more connected our devices, the more vulnerable we are. Now, imagine these glasses paired with, wait for it, facial recognition software.
Okay, so this is where I relapse, and I'm going to start drinking, smoking crack, and doing heroin.
You smoked crack?
I did never smoke crack, but I would like to. Remember how we started this episode? Think about it. 2 university students figured out how to use Meta's smart glasses to instantly identify strangers on the street, where they work, where they've been. These glasses, so yeah, I guess I didn't want to say it. Okay, fine. Because I don't want to say it because I just don't want people to get the idea. But you know what they are? They're a surveillance tool. That's all they are.
Yeah, and if that isn't unsettling enough, they didn't even need any kind of like cutting edge tech to do it. They used publicly available tools like PinEyes, which is a face search engine that can match your face to images all over the web.
Yeah.
And then they just combined it with Meta's glasses and some AI to create a demo that can pull up your name, address, and even your relatives' names in real time. It's futuristic, but the future is technically here. There's no hacking, just current, easily accessible software.
Excuse me, I need to go get some crack.
In their demo, they identified classmates and even random strangers on public transit in seconds, casually chatting with them as if they were old friends, armed with all the personal info they needed to make it believable.
Their personal information pops up on your phone. Hi, ma'am. Wait, are you Betsy? Yes. Oh, okay. I think I met you through like the Cambridge Community Foundation, right? Yeah. It's great to meet you.
I am starting to feel coerced into doing something traumatic, which is talk about this. But I'll keep going because it's my job. The scary part about this is that none of this tech is secret, right? You know, we've talked about PinEyes.
I mean, I did have this moment with Wonton Dad the first time, which took a lot of kind of investigating and digging to get to him. But, you know, the first
Not too long ago, we had New York Times tech reporter Kashmir Hill on the podcast to talk about facial recognition, and she told this story of how Clearview, a sort of private and more powerful version of PinEyes, got started.
The first time we sat down and he's describing, we developed this, we think this is the best use case for facial recognition technology, you know, by police to find pedophiles as opposed to pedophiles using it. And I said, yes, but you know, what you've developed, what you've released, you've opened the door to just ubiquitous facial recognition technology and really just changing our ability to be anonymous. And are you worried about that? And he was silent for a moment and he goes, that's a good question. I'll have to think about that. while Clearview AI is limited to police use, there is a public face search engine called PimEyes. And any of you could go there right now, and you're supposed to upload your own photo. You have to check a box saying, this is me, and I'm over 18, but they don't have any technical measures in place. I have a subscription so that I can see the whole photo. If you just go to it right now and do it, it'll show you a bunch of little, like your faces, but you can't see the whole photo or where it came from. And I have a subscription and I can do 25 searches a day, which I don't know why I would need to search my own face 25 times a day. And yeah, it's $30 per month. The database is not as robust as Clearview AI's. It's, hundreds of millions of photos instead of billions, and they didn't scrape the social media sites. And I actually was thinking about it a lot this month because of a woman in Virginia named Susanna Gibson, who's running for office, in a local race. She's a Democrat. She's a nurse. And the Washington Post reported that a Republican operative told them that she had streamed sex acts on the internet with her husband for tips. And these videos were not linked to her name, but were linked to her face. And I wondered how that operative found them. Was he, watching pornography and he stumbled on it, or did he run her face through something like PimEyes? And that's how she turned them up. I don't know.
It's been used from everything for searching for stolen identities to I used it in the episode about my cousin who was getting catfished. It's used by law enforcement. The facial recognition technology itself, sure. I mean, duh, it's controversial. But combining it with smart glasses, you're creating a world where anyone with enough money to buy the thing can do a lot of damage.
Yeah, and while Meta's Ray-Ban smart glasses don't have facial recognition built in, Meta actually has already used facial recognition, but that's not even the point. The glasses here are just the gateway. They allow discreet, hands-free recording. And all it takes is one glance and suddenly your entire identity could be exposed. And sure, there's a privacy light that's supposed to warn people when you're recording, but in bright daylight or crowded spaces, it's more or less invisible.
Or with a little black paint. Listen, the thing is,
while the creators of iX-Ray say their goal is to raise awareness, the implications here are pretty clear. As we said before, the tech exists, and the tools are available, and it's only a matter of time before someone with bad intentions puts them to use.
All right, wait, before Adam jumps in here, because I know he's got something to say here. Really? Raise awareness? What they're doing is lowering all of our standards. And what they're doing is I think eventually it'll be decided that it's illegal. But Adam?
Hopefully sooner rather than later. But we've already seen how connected devices like in Hope's story can be used to invade our personal space. I mean, really used. But this brings the invasion into public spaces, turning everyday interactions into potential security risks. It's not just about cameras in your home or on your phone anymore. Now it's the glasses on somebody's face as they walk by you in the street.
Right. So what's next? I mean, companies are constantly pushing for more connectivity. You can't buy a non-internet connected TV these days, for instance. And they want to just keep on integrating it into our daily lives. And I think the question we're asking here and that we all have to ask ourselves is, where's the line? How much are we willing to give up for the sake of convenience?
I don't think that you want to hear what I have to say about this. Because what I have to say is, if you buy these devices, you're doing yourself and society a disservice. I mean it. You know what? Go out of your way, find the stapler that isn't wired to anything, find the refrigerator that doesn't connect to anything. And if it's all connected, take it apart, remove the thing that makes it connected. Because you know what? This is a bridge too far. This is a bridge too far.
We need to exercise these devices.
Yeah, we do.
All right, so this is the question of the hour. Are we willing to trade privacy for the ease of capturing a moment hands-free? Because if we're not careful, the cost of convenience could be far greater than we realize.
Right. And capturing a moment is one thing, but using that moment to capture a person is another. And that's what we're talking about here. At the end of the day, we're not talking about, locks are for honest people, right? If a thief wants to get into your house, they're going to get into your house. And the same thing goes for this tech. Sure, a lot of people are just going to use it to take pictures of their food while they're eating, but there's going to be some people who are using it for bad stuff. And just like we've seen before, once this technology is out there, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
So next time, before you slip on those smart glasses or you set up that new Wi-Fi security camera, ask yourself, who else might be watching?
Now it's time for our tinfoil swan.
Our justifiably paranoid takeaway to keep you safe on and offline.
So, speaking of paranoid, who else is feeling that very strongly after today's episode?
Dude, I don't know. The Meta's new smart glasses seems like whatever is beyond paranoia.
So a stranger looks at you and within seconds, they got everything they need. They know everything about you.
Yeah, and even without the glasses, we don't want to blame that too much because someone could just as easily snap a picture of you and then run it through some facial recognition like PIM eyes or face check, and then they've got you.
No, it's true. Okay, so here's the fun part, Adam. When this is I can't. It's like the jokes just write themselves. In order to get your images removed, you have to give them images of yourself.
Yeah, it's like, hey, can you take my face out of your creepy collection? And here's a high-resolution version of my face to help you out. Does that feel a little ass backwards to you?
Yeah, it does.
Putting it mildly. Once your images are out there, you're pretty much screwed. You remove them from one site, but what's to say they aren't already on another? These databases are multiplying like bunnies.
Yes, and the bunny DNA is everywhere. So we're stuck in this loop of trying to erase ourselves from the internet, which is a self-propagating beast. Or should we just, I'm really sounding like the Unabomber today. Maybe our privacy is gone, and maybe we're being tracked by someone's glasses right now. There's no one in my house, sadly, but who knows?
Well, you guys know all about win-win situations. This is a no-win situation. Opting out might help reduce the number of places your face shows up. Certainly not a silver bullet. The moment your picture hits the web, it's out there, fair game, and everybody's going to be coming after you.
Yeah, and let's not forget, we're trusting the very companies that are storing our images to do the right thing. So we're handing over even more data to protect the data we never wanted them to have in the first place.
So the real takeaway, go ahead and scrub your face from these sites if it helps you sleep at night.
And at the end of the day, there's no easy answer. Keep an eye on those smart devices, because the more connected we get, the harder it is to disconnect from all the ways they're watching us.
And that is our very bleak tinfoil swan. What the Heck with Adam Levin is a production of Loud Tree Media. You can find us online at adamlevin.com and on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Adam K. Levin.
Behind every great meal is a person with a story to tell. Hear them on Culinary Characters Unlocked, the podcast that reveals the lives behind the food. Hosted by me, David Page, Emmy Award-winning journalist and creator of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, as I talk with everyone from culinary legends to mom-and-pop standouts about the creativity, grit, and passion that shape the food we love. Follow Culinary Characters Unlocked on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Behind every empire are the people history tried to forget. Lost Roman Heroes tells the stories of the remarkable characters who shaped Rome from its mythical beginnings to its final fall.
Each episode blends armchair storytelling, sharp historical insight, and a bit of humor to bring these lost figures to life. From generals to scientists, from rebels to empresses, from priests to politicians, these lost Roman heroes have one thing in common.
They stood up for civilization when the bad guys threatened, and in doing so, they changed the course of human history. If you're into history that's vivid, surprising, and deeply human, this show's for you.